serve as the chair of the Senate Veterans. I'd like to thank the good senator from District 7 and the good senator from District 25 for their support of this legislation. In 1968, in 1968, there was a little action called the Tet Offensive. For those of us that lived through that, we understand what it was. But for those who didn't, for those who came along much later in life, it was a designed ceasefire that the North Vietnamese took advantage of and attacked the entire country. I was in college at the time, really not paying much attention to what was happening overseas. It was college, after all. But my reality was quickly shattered when the draft board decided that I should be inducted into the service. It was scary times. Although there were millions of people in the military at the time, and there was only several 100,000 in Vietnam, the question I had, would I go? It's not that I didn't want to go. I volunteered for the draft and was inducted in October of 1969, almost a year after the Tet Offensive. I decided that if I had to be in the military, I wanted to learn something of importance. So I did well on the tests. As a matter of fact, in basic training, I won the Education Award for the highest earned score. But I decided that I wanted to be a military policeman, to perhaps learn a trade, still knowing that, in fact, in Vietnam, they had military police. I wasn't sent there. I don't know if it was the grace of God or what action it was. But I ended up in Korea, and I spent a year in Korea, which was an active war zone. There was no shooting, but a city of 8 million people, Seoul, Korea, at midnight would be evacuated, shall I say. In other words, there was a curfew, and at midnight everyone needed to be off the street. It wasn't Vietnam. I guess I'm glad I didn't have to go there. But there are millions of Vietnam-era veterans. And even that I didn't go there, when I returned, and I actually returned to Fort Lewis, I was told the best thing I could do was take my uniform off, which I was proud of. After all, I became a sergeant in the military, which I thought was pretty good in a 2-year draft. But they said, take your uniform off because it'll make traveling easier. And I find that unfortunate, that we as Americans would look down our noses at those brave men and women that served. So I say on 1542, it's about time. The good senator from District 7 said, welcome home. This memorial says, welcome home. Thank you.
Now rise upon